Bobby Hull. Robert Marvin Hull O.C. January 3, 1939 January 30, 2023 was a Canadian professional ice hockey player who is widely regarded as one of the greatest players of all time. His blonde hair, skating speed, end-to-end rushes, and ability to shoot the puck at very high velocity all earned him the name the Golden Jet. His talents were such that an opposing player was often assigned just to shadow him. Canadian ice hockey player during his 23-year playing career. From 1957 to 1980, he played in both the National Hockey League (NHL) and World Hockey Association (WHA) with the Chicago Blackhawks, Winnipeg Jets, and Hartford Whalers. He won the Hart Memorial Trophy as the most valuable player twice and the Art Ross Trophy as the most leading point scorer 3 times, while helping the Blackhawks win the Stanley Cup in 1961. He also led the Winnipeg Jets to ACO Cup championships in 1976 and 1978. He led the NHL in goals 7 times, the second most of any player in history, and led the WHA in goals 1 additional time while being the most valuable player 2 times. He was elected to the Hockey Hall of Fame in 1983, the Ontario Sports Hall of Fame in 1997, and received the Wayne Gretzky International Award in 2003. In 2017, Hull was named one of the 100 greatest NHL players in history. Early life. Hull was born in Point N, Ontario on January 3, 1939. He was the son of Lena Cook and Robert Edward Hull, a cement company foreman. He played his minor hockey in nearby Belleville and then junior B hockey for the Woodstock Warriors. In the fall of 1954, Hull led the Warriors to the 1955 Sutherland Cup as Ontario champions. Later, he played for the Galt Blackhawks and the St. Catharines TPs in the Ontario Hockey Association before joining the Chicago Blackhawks in 1957 at the age of Hull with the Blackhawks. Hull had a solid debut year, finishing second in voting for the Calder Memorial Trophy. Hull originally wore numbers 16 and 7 as a Blackhawk but later switched to his famous number 9, a tribute to his childhood idol Gordie Howe. By his third season, he led the league in goal and point scoring the Art Ross Trophy, a double feat which he also achieved in, and he led Chicago to the Stanley Cup in Earth, third overall and first in 23 years. He finished second in point scoring 3 further times. On March 12, 1966, Hull became the first NHL player to score more than 50 goals in a season, surpassing Maurice Richards, Bernie Joffriens, and his own mark of 50 goals. His 51st goal, scored on Cesare Manugo of the New York Rangers, earned him a 7-minute standing ovation from the Chicago Stadium faithful. Hull eventually scored 54 goals that season, the highest single-season total of the original 6 era. That same year, Hull set the record for the most points in a season with 97, one more than the previous record set by Dickie Moore 7 years earlier. His point total was tied the next year by teammate Stan Mikita, and their record was broken 3 years later by Phil Esposito. Hull led the league in goal scoring 7 times during the ERS, despite Hull breaking his own goals in a season record by 4 goals, netting 58 and setting a career NHL high of 107 points, second in the league that year. The Hawks missed the playoffs for the first time since his rookie season. By his final NHL season, he had scored 50 goals or more, remarkable 5 times. This was only 1 time less than all other players in NHL history combined up until that point in time. In his 15 full NHL seasons, he was voted the first-team All-Star left winger 10 times and the second-team All-Star left winger twice. His slapshot was once clocked at 118.3 miles per hour, 190.5 km, and he could skate 29.7 miles per hour, 47.8 km. During his drive to be the first to eclipse the 50-goal mark, Hull's wrist shot was said to be harder than his slapshot. Long unhappy with his poor salary despite being one of hockey's preeminent superstars, Hull responded to overtures from the upstart World Hockey Association's Winnipeg Jets in 1972 by jesting that he would jump to them for $1 million, a sum then considered absurd, gathering the other league owners together to contribute to the unprecedented amount on the grounds that inking such a major star gave instant credibility to the new rival league that was competing directly against the entrenched NHL. Jets owner Ben Hatskin agreed to the sum, and signed Hull as a player coach for a contract worth $1.75 million over 10 years plus a $1 million signing bonus. Although his debut with Winnipeg was held up in litigation by the NHL, Hull instantly became the greatest star, winning the Gordie Howe Trophy as league MVP, and with Swedish linemates Anders Hedberg and Ulf Nilsson he formed one of the most formidable forward lines of the Ers, known as the Hot Line, leading the Jets to 2 AVCO Cups during his time with the club. His best performance was during the season, when he scored 77 goals to set a new professional mark, while adding 65 assists for a total of 142 points, 5 behind the league leader. One of 2 times he finished second in the point-scoring race in the WHA. In the 5 WHA seasons in which he played more than half the schedule, he was voted a first-team All-Star thrice and a second-team All-Star twice, while tallying 50 goals and 100 points 4 times each because he joined the rival league. Hull was not allowed to represent Team Canada in the 1972 Summit Series, which pitted Canada's top NHL players against the USA's national team. 2 years later, a second Summit Series was held in which Hull and other top WHA stars, including Gordie Howe, who had been retired from the NHL at the time of the initial Summit Series, competed against the Soviet national team. The WHA lost the series 4-1, ending in a tie, despite Hull's 7 goals. He was a key member of the Canadian squad that won the 1976 Canada Cup, though, scoring 5 goals and 3 assists in 7 games. Hull and teammate Stan Mikita were catalysts for a Ers craze where players curved the blades of their hockey sticks, which became widely referred to as banana blades. Hull is the player typically linked most to the rule that banned this practice because of the potential danger to goalies, few of whom wore masks in that era. The curved blade made the puck's trajectory unpredictable. The rule originally limited the blade curvature to between 0.5 and 13 and 0.75 in 1970. It was set at 0.5 and 13. NHL Rule 10.1 currently limits the curvature to 0.75 in 19, slowed by injuries and age. Hull played only a few games in the final season of. However, after the 1979 merger of the 2 leagues, including the Jets, and reportedly in financial straits, Hull came out of retirement to play once more for the NHL Jets. He played in 18 games before being traded to the Hartford Whalers for future considerations, bringing the 2-time Gordie Howe Trophy winner together with the 51-year-old Howe himself, who, after Hull's initial contest with the Whalers, told the press, "The kid looks good in his first game." Hull played effectively in 9 games, 2 goals and 5 assists, and 3 playoff games before retiring once more to care for his partner, who had been injured in an automobile accident in September 1981. Hull attempted one final comeback with the New York Rangers at age 42, at the suggestion of Rangers coach Herb Brooks, who wanted to try reuniting Hull with his former Jets teammates, Hedberg and Nilsson. The comeback attempt lasted 5 exhibition games, during which Hull had 1 goal and 1 assist, before he and the Rangers both decided it was best to end the comeback. It was the second time in Hull's career that he had played exhibition games with the Rangers. In 1959, after missing the playoffs the previous spring, the Rangers and the Boston Bruins had been sent on an exhibition tour of Europe, and then emerging star Hull and Eddie Shack were added to the Rangers roster for the tour. Hull and Shack co-led the Rangers in scoring, each netting 14 goals over the 23-game tour. Hull ended his career having played in 1,063 NHL games, accumulating 610 goals, 560 assists, 1,170 points, 640 penalty minutes, 3 Art Ross trophies, 2 Hart Memorial trophies. He finished second or third in the voting an additional 6 times, a Lady B Memorial Trophy, and a Stanley Cup championship, adding 62 goals and 67 assists for 129 points in 119 playoff games. He played in 411 WHA games, scoring 303 goals, 335 assists, and 638 points, adding 43 goals and 37 assists in 60 playoff games. His North American Major League professional total of 1,018 goals in HL and WHA, including playoffs, is the 3rd most of all time, after Wayne Gretzky 1,000. 109, and Gordie Howe 1071, although the NHL does not recognize scoring statistics from the WHA in players' career totals. Post-playing career. In 1978, he was made an Officer of the Order of Canada. Besides his Hall of Fame induction, Hall's No. 9 jersey has been retired by the Blackhawks, the Jets, and their successor team, the Arizona Coyotes. When Bobby's son Brett Hull joined the Coyotes, they unretired the number for Brett to wear during his brief stint there to honor his father. Evander Kane, who wore number 9 for the current Winnipeg Jets franchise, sought and received Hull's permission to wear the number in 2003. He was named the figurehead commissioner of a new World Hockey Association, intended to operate during the NHL lockout. It never entered play, and the organization subsequently ran several ephemeral low minor league and unsanctioned Tier II junior leagues. Hull served as an ambassador for the Blackhawks through part of the season until the organization announced, when it comes to Bobby, specifically, we jointly agreed earlier this season that he will retire from any official team role. Awards and achievements. Art Ross Trophy winner 1960, 1962, and 1966. NHL First All-Star Team Left Wing 1960, 1962, 1964, 1965, 1966, 1967, 1968, 1969, 1970, and 1972 Stanley Cup champion 1961, and HL Second All-Star Team Left Wing 1963 and 1971 Hart Memorial Trophy winner 1965 and 1966 Lady Byng Memorial Trophy winner 1965 Lester Patrick Trophy winner 1969 became third hockey player to appear on the cover of Time Magazine All-Star Game MVP 1970. 1971, only player to win consecutive All-Star Game MVP award. First All-Star Team 1973, 1974, and 1975 WHA Second All-Star Team 1976 and 1978 WHA Most Valuable Player 1973 and 1975 AFO Cup WHA Champion 1976, 1978, and 1979 inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame. When he moved to the WHA, he was the second leading goal scorer and ninth leading point scorer in NHL history, second in WHA history in goals, sixth in assists, and third in points. In 1998, he was ranked number 8 on the Hockey News list of the 100 greatest hockey players, the highest-ranking left-winger, and member of the Manitoba Hockey Hall of Fame, member of the Manitoba Sports Hall of Fame, inaugural member of the World Hockey Association Hall of Fame, and member of the Ontario Sports Hall of Fame. In 2011, statues of Hull and Stan Mikita were installed outside the United Center, where the Blackhawks currently play. Head coaching record.